Hey everyone, it's December 13th and deer season's pretty much wrapped up and we're starting to think about ice fishing. So I figured I'd throw together a quick few minute video of some of the northerns I caught last year in two different lakes, Lake Bailey and Lake Portage Lake, up here in the Upper Peninsula. For the people who don't know me, or know about me I guess, I go to school at Michigan Tech, so when I came up here, this is my fourth year now, and I came up here I had to kind of relearn everything for fishing wise. I didn't know any of the lakes, obviously, never fished them. So a lot of these lakes are tough to kind of get a handle on in only a few years, and especially with our class schedule up here, we're pretty busy, but we do the best I can. Me and my friends go out quite a bit on the weekends when we have time, but so the two lakes I'll show you here are my two favorites. Lake Bailey's kind of the go have fun at lake, and then Portage Lake's more of a go be serious one. So I'll talk a little bit about each one, but hopefully you guys are getting out on the ice and catching some fish. So I hope you enjoy the video. So the first lake that we're going to show you some footage from is Lake Bailey up in Eagle Harbor, Michigan. That's just about at the tip of the peninsula, the Keweenaw Peninsula in the UP here. It's a pretty typical UP lake. It's just got a bunch of northern and perch in it. Haven't caught anything else there. The lake itself is a really flat, shallow lake. It's pretty muddy in all the shallower spots. As you can see on the contour map here, it says it's 3 foot for pretty much the whole lake. But in reality, I would say that in most spots it's 1 to 2 feet, and it's just all mud there. When you look at the contour map, it's a really easy lake to fish. Just looking at it, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 pockets of deeper water, especially when we're. And the thing about those spots there is that those are the only spots where there's any real vegetation. And all the shallower spots, it's all just mud, and yeah, there's weeds, but it's not that tall cabbage type weed. It's more just the mossy looking stuff on the bottom of the lake's bottom, and so the fish all congregate in those 3 or 4 spots. So the boating access is actually to the public is in the top right corner of the map there. So that's where when we come ice fishing we come in there. The past couple of years I've been going to a cabin on Lake Bailey. So I've been actually in the top left side of the lake, so I guess where I fish kind of depends on where I'm coming into the lake. But ice fishing, we typically fish this upper right hand corner of the lake. It's 6 feet deep in most spots, and I would say there's an 8 or 9 foot section kind of right in the middle where it gets widest there. And we usually put our shanty right in that deep spot, because when we're there we'll put our 2 tip-ups out and then we'll jig for perch in the shanty. And so we'll usually put the shanty right in the 8 or 9 foot hole. It's not very big, but we'll put it there and then we'll spread the tip-ups out. Usually we tend to put 1 or 2 out on the further out from shore, and then we usually put the rest towards shore. Usually I go with a friend or 2. So we'll just kind of spread them out from the shore out into the lake, just to try and cover that ditch there, or that deeper area. And in that spot there in particular, it's got the weeds and it's kind of a sandy bottom actually. So you might have to drill a couple holes to find a little bit of an open area so that your minnow's not running into the weeds all the time. But no real strategy besides just throwing the tip-ups out across there and spreading them out. So we'll show you the video, but I'm just setting the minnows. In that spot, the depth's really not even that important, just because of, any fish that comes through the area is going to see it, whether it's high or low. So I'll play with it a little bit, but usually I'll put them about a foot off the bottom or so. Sometimes I'll bring them a couple feet up. I'll try a little different with each one just to see if anything works, but on that lake, sometimes I'll be putting the minnow down and it'll be getting hit. So there's just a ton of northerns. The size isn't that great, as you'll see in the video. That's pretty much average I think the biggest one we've caught there is maybe 30 or so. But definitely a really fun lake to take kids or people who are just starting fishing, or if you just want to go catch fish. It's fun to do. So we'll play some of the video here and we'll show you what we caught. Little one, still fun. Alright, so the next lake I'm going to show you guys some video from is Portage Lake, right outside Houghton here. This is probably the best northern bite I've ever gotten into, either on ice or open water, of my life. Both quality of fish and the number of fish was excellent. So what I think ended up happening here is these fish are staging up outside of a bay in late ice, right around the beginning of March. And I was marking a lot of, I was actually out there walleye fishing. And I was marking a lot of bait fish coming through, huge schools of them, and then big marks following them. I was in about 20 foot of water at the time, jigging, and the marks were at about 10 or 15. So it took seeing a couple of those marks, and I knew they were northerns, so I said, let's go change all the tip-ups over and raise them up and see what happens. And within the first hour or so, I caught a couple of smaller northerns, and then I actually moved the tip-ups again, and then I really got into the fish. So let's take a look at the contour here, just show you kind of what's going on. You can see you got a break that kind of curls around, and makes a half circle there, and then comes back down and goes back up, kind of like a sine wave almost. And so there's a lot of spots, you know, when I look at something like that, and I'm looking for something a little different. And I'm kind of drawn to a corner, a tight break or a point. Of course, like anybody else. But in this spot here, what I found is in the 5 foot spot closer to shore, it's all pretty heavy weeds. And then when you get out inside these two humps, if you want to call them that, and then out into the deeper water there's kind of a spot where it's sandy and then some scattered weeds. So the way I looked at it, I was going to try and put myself between those two spots when they're kind of maybe going back and forth, and then in the same area the breaks kind of tighten up there where you can see my waypoint is. So you got cover on each side of you, and then you got a tight break. So something like that, it just kind of drew my attention, so I gave it a shot. And when I went and moved these tip-ups from walleye fishing to fish northerns, I knew that these fish were probably going, the bait fish are probably getting chased back and forth through the cover. And I guess I should probably preface that the Portage Lake is hooked into Superior Lake with the Portage Canal. So what I think these bait fish are smelt going back and forth, being chased around by the northerns that were staging up outside the bay. And so I was actually fairly aggressive with how I set my tip-ups. Usually I'm not quite as high in the water column, maybe as even some people. But in this case, I moved them all. I would say I was at about half depth for most of them. And my thought process behind that was either one of two things. Either these northerns are coming from weed bed to weed bed, and they're not going to follow the bottom and then come up. They're going to just kind of, they're going to come up at an angle, so it's pretty much a linear rise, I guess. And so I figured if they do that, it would kind of be in line with that. Or my other thought was these northerns were going to come, they were going to follow this breakdown and around and up, just kind of going back and forth, trolling for the bait fish. And when they did that, they'd probably be lower, looking for fish above them. And that's why I wanted it a little bit lower, so they were looking up at it, I guess. I guess an argument could be made either way. But either way, the other big thing I did is with northerns, I usually am a big steel leader person, but I actually did all fluoro leaders on these with bigger, like bigger spoon hooks on them. And so those are a couple things that I tried it with steel leaders, and I did not catch any fish. And when I went back to the fluoro, I started catching fish again. So I definitely think that was a big part of it. But the first good fish I caught after moving the tip-ups, I think the best depth I had was about 12 feet. And I moved a tip-up to that depth, and within 15 minutes I caught this 39.5 here. That's my biggest northern I've ever caught. Hoping maybe to top it this year, but I'm thinking probably not. So after that fish, though, I was really catching good fish, and you guys will see the video. So just take a look and hope you enjoy. Gonna let this 34-inch northern go. I just caught on tip up. Just caught another 30-inch northern, and we'll let this one go too. So here's a couple more pictures of some fish I caught when I didn't have the video camera with me. Actually, most of the big ones I caught I was not videoing, but that's the way it goes. At least I got pictures. Alright guys, that's all I got for you for this one. Hopefully you liked it. Tomorrow I will be heading off to Keweenaw for 2 days before the weekend, before finals week. Probably not the smartest decision, but I want to go fish Keweenaw for walleyes, so I'll take the camera with me, and hopefully we can get some good fish, or just some fish at all there. And then I'll have Colton and I will be working on the hunting videos. I've started already, but with our time schedule and wanting to get on the ice, we're a little slow with that. So we'll get the deer hunting videos out, hopefully around the new year. So good luck and be safe out in the ice.